Good morning, everybody. It's Monday, April the 27th. We are the Proven Performer crew. We are the guys that solve big inventory challenges, right? I'm here today with my cohorts, Darren Fingleton and Anthony Ferguson. At the end of this video, we're going to be talking about a few different deals. One is some Champion kids clothing. Another is some Messi kids clothing, Anthony. Messi. So think about that. You're going to have to say something about Messi while we're here. And then some Turkish rugs. Actually 600,000 square feet of Turkish rugs. That's like 60,000 metros cuadrados, Anthony. That's a lot of rugs. We're going to talk about that at the end of the episode. Right now, I want to talk about fraud. Talk about the subject of fraud because something happened here on Friday that I thought was very interesting, and I wanted to bring it to the attention of our audience because I think it applies to everybody. And that is about 2 years ago, I'm going down through LinkedIn in one of the closeout groups, and there's a post from a company in Texas that says, we're looking for somebody to help us close out a large inventory of shoes. And so I reached out to them, person contacted me back, gave me the manifest. I looked at it. The price they wanted for the stuff was just way off. It was way too high. And so I thought, okay, no big deal about this. But then fast forward 2 years to maybe less than a month ago, and I'm talking to a mutual friend that we all know, and he says, "You're not going to believe what happened to me. There's this shoe deal in Texas." He goes, and I sold the deal to my customer. My customer paid a deposit, and then flew to go inspect the product. And when they got there, you open the box and you look at the shoes, and they look like they're beautiful and new, but if you pick them up, they're just dry rotted to pieces. They crack in the center, whatever. So you're looking at them, and Darren, we've been through a whole lot of stuff, right? The people, try to defraud you. But anyway, so the customer now is in a lawsuit with the shoe company, and over this deal, right? Because they won't give them their deposit back. And so this same shoe company, out of the blue, nothing from me, emails me and says, "Can you help us sell these shoes on Friday?" Same shoes, right?
Wow.
Same shoes. So they've got the customer deposit. They're in the middle of a lawsuit, and they're still trying to sell these shoes that are falling apart, right? So what I want to say about that in regard to our industry is, the guy who brokered this deal did everything right? Did everything right. They went and flew to look at the shoes because of the amount of money it was. They took the time, they paid for the plane ticket, and they flew down there to look at the shoes, and they discovered this. And thank goodness they didn't pay all the money in advance and then receive those shoes in their warehouse, because they have a much bigger problem. Because if you're committing fraud at that level, you got financial problems, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the kind of fraud that you commit because you're doing it, for a Ponzi scheme. You got real financial problems because you're trying to sell this, shitty investment you made in some shoes, right? And when I saw the shoes years ago, they were like $9 a pair or something like that. And I knew, okay, well, this is never going to sell. And then they offered it to me on Friday. They were like $3 a pair. So I confronted them directly about it. I confronted them directly about it in the email. Go ahead.
So this deal's been around for years now?
It's been around for years, yeah.
Been circulating? Wow. Oh my. It's wild.
Remember,
that people would
go ahead.
That people would do something like that, especially on a level that big. And when it's that blatantly obvious.
Okay, but I guess I think to myself, when people do this kind of things, I hear about it pretty frequently. I mean, once a week for sure, twice a week probably, right? On somebody who's not keeping their word, who didn't do what they said they were going to do, who lied about something, right? And that's why trust is so valuable in this business and in life, right? If I lie to you and you catch me lying, well, you have to assume, well, he'll lie sometimes. Right? And so it's so fragile, so fragile. I was talking to the owner of the Valvoline wiper blades, I think on Thursday or Friday, right? and how when we were younger, because he's about my age, when we were younger, there was a whole lot more trustworthy people. Like there was just a lot of people you say, yeah, they're trustworthy. That person is. And nowadays, it's, you know, it's like what President Ronald Reagan used to say, trust and verify.
Yeah.
I believe you, but send me a WhatsApp video, please. Right?
Yeah. John he still always says you don't really know somebody until, how does it go,
The
John?
shit hits the fan. You don't really know someone until the shit hits the fan. Right, Anthony? Isn't that it?
Right. So then we have this question, right? What would be the advice you give someone who's starting in this business so they don't fall for scams where they don't have the opportunity to fly and see the product in real life or retail?
You have to attach yourself to someone who's trustworthy in the business in some way, right? You have to attach yourself to someone. That could be somebody in the closeout business and you work for them in their warehouse, or someone that you know is trustworthy. Right? You have to attach yourself to someone who's trustworthy, and you have to get out there and meet people. And, you know, here's the thing, and this is the truth. You know, if you want to meet people who are very strict about telling the truth, you have to be that kind of person yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Right.
And so you attract into your life who you are, not who you want. And you should think about that all the time, right? Anytime you're looking at someone and thinking, man, I really do not like this person at all. You attract who you are, not who you want, right? We're attracting mirrors of ourselves.
Yeah. So would you recommend going and checking out shows for these people? Because, for example, we went to the ASD a few years ago, and there's, if not 1,000 people that, if not more, that show up to this. How can someone know that someone's trustworthy? I mean, you can have conversations with them all you want, but it's until that moment where that money crosses from one account to another, you really know somebody.
Okay. And if take whatever deal, the shoe deal we just talking about, they did what they were supposed to do. They went out and inspected it. They didn't give them a real big deposit. They did it all in a trustworthy manner. They could have gone to inspect it without the deposit, and they could have said, we're coming to inspect it, and there's no deposit. And if they said, you don't give us a deposit, you're not inspecting it, and say, okay, well, I'm out.
Right.
You know, so, but the question, to answer your question on how you build the trust, you have to go through a complete non-trust situation and see what happens. But, you know, we had a situation recently where we had a trusted vendor sold a product to a trusted customer, and when that trusted customer got the product, they got a legal letter from the owner saying that product's not authorized. And in that moment, the trusted vendor gave them their money back and took the product back instantly, which is what they were supposed to do. And so because of that trust, they did another deal immediately the next day. They had been new to each other. The first deal was a problem. They saw how the resolution went, and they immediately did another deal the next day. The trust was there. But the problem created the trust, not the trust creating the trust. The trust, to create the trust, takes time, right? A problem, though, will solve it fast. If you have a problem or you see how someone is in a crisis, easy to go forward, right? Easy to go forward. Okay, Darren, your turn. We're at the 9-minute mark.
Well, my question actually was somewhat related to this. I was going to ask you, if you feel comfortable, how many times have you had to put your own reputation or money on the line to fix a mistake that wasn't even yours? In this sense, to where you are putting your face and saying that, you know, this happens and it blows up in this way.
The very first thing that I thought about is when we were in the As Seen on TV business, they had this thing called the Topsy Turvy tomato planter. And so you would hang it and you would grow tomatoes upside down.
Yeah,
right?
I remember
and
that.
So it was this wildly popular thing. We had the closeout on it, and we sold, I don't know how many of them, many thousands of them, to a department store. And in their main state where they were, anything that had seeds in it had to have a special registration number, and we didn't know it. And they didn't think about it. They was like, okay, well, you're the vendor, you should know. right? In order to sell in this state and seeds, you got to have this license. And so I had to personally pay to have all of those pulled back out of the chain and a sticker put on them and them all sent back. It was more than the cost of what they paid for the product.
Wow.
But when you have that big customer, you have to do that, right? You have to be willing to say, okay, well, got to bite the bullet for the big customer. I mean, just think about what our big deals this year, right? The gas grills, blemishes, right? And the retailer's like, hey, take them. Yeah, we paid for perfect ones. We didn't pay for ones with little tiny problems. We paid for perfect ones, right?
Right.
The people who bought those grills said, the people who bought those grills said to me after they got them and they were in their warehouse, they said to me, they said, I can't believe they rejected them for this. You just basically can't tell them from new. But if you want to do business with that big customer, you got to follow their rules.
Yeah. And it just goes to show that there is an ROI on a customer. I mean, it's worth taking care of that one customer and fixing your mistake. And
yeah, I'm just gonna say over the years I've done it dozens of times, right? And so you need to set up, if you're new in this business, you need to set up your liability immediately, right? And so understand what your liability is when you start getting out there and giving your word, or you're going to tear down your relationships. You got to be careful with saying, I trust this person, or this person is trustworthy. You got to be careful about that.
And word does travel fast in this industry.
It's small. Of course,
especially
it's
with
small.
social media.
Of course, it's small. I was looking at, I don't know, this maybe a couple of weeks ago, at the number of people who have been removed from our email list, and it's over 100. And most of those people have been removed. This is not unsubscribes. I'm talking about people that we took off our email list because of some moral turpitude, because of something that they did, right? Trying to cut somebody out of a deal, not paying somebody their commission, whatever, right? And like I said, I hear about it every week. Something new, something you don't know about, because it is a small world, but at the same time, there's just a lot of deals happening all over the place. And, hurting people hurt other people. And so if people are financially hurting, they're going to lie about that product. And a lot of times a person who has a liquidation is in financial distress in some way, right? We had the diaper bag deal with the extremely expensive diaper bags and shipped them all to Panama, and they got there, had mold in them.
Yeah, I recall that
Had to give the customer all the money back, right? Yeah. So, if you're playing a game at a certain level, right? And when you're playing the game at that level, you got to be prepared to protect your relationships.
Yeah.
Anthony Ferguson, we're almost at the 14-minute mark. What do you have amazing for our listeners this morning to talk about?
Well, let's change the topic for a while. Last Friday, right before we started recording the podcast, you said that you are a little tired of being in front of your computer screen all day. So at this stage of life, what do you value more, time or control?
That's a very interesting question. At this stage of my life, what do I value more, time or control? I think it's absolutely time, because I think control is a matter of resources, right? And so you can always get some more money, but you can't get some more time. However much time you have, that's all the time you got. But you can always get some more money, right? You've been able to get some up until now. Like up until this point, you be honest, Anthony, how many times in the last 20 years or this time that we've known each other, how many times have you thought, oh shit, it's about to be the end of my life. I'm going to go bankrupt. I'm going to run out of money. I won't get through this. How many times have you had that thought? Just be honest and be conservative. Don't exaggerate, but how many times?
No, more than 10 times. Definitely more than 10 times.
10 times, 10,000 times.
No, because that's why sometimes I wonder, what are we looking for? Is it money? Is it time? Is it power? So what are we really chasing in life, right?
Okay, well, if you look at a person that's content, that's absolutely content in their circumstances, right? They own nothing. They literally own nothing at all. They have no income, but they're absolutely content. When you look at that person and then you look at your life and your desires and say to yourself, are my desires worth what I'm paying for them? Because that person over there that's completely content is paying nothing. They are not paying anything. They are not concerned with control, nor time, because they're content, right? So, I mean, I'm not content. I know I'm not content, right? If you're out striving, doing anything, right? We're sitting here doing this podcast. That's automatic. We're not content. We're doing the podcast for a reason.
Right.
There's still desire. There's still desire there, right?
Well, the world runs on money, so someone has to work to be able to get money, and so
your world runs on money. Now, if you're a saint in India with only a begging bowl, your world does not run on money. Just think about it. If you have nothing, that's what a renunciate is, right? In India, there's tens of thousands of people that they just live in the street and beg with a begging bowl. So our world does run on money, Darren. I 100% agree with that, but not the whole world.
all right.
And we ran a long time without money. We got here many thousands of years. We went through evolution, and there was no money.
Right.
Right? A famous Jewish carpenter once said, right, you can't serve God and money. You got to pick one or the other. Right?
Completely agree, right?
Rich young ruler comes to Jesus and says, hey, my whole life I kept all the commandments. And Jesus says, great, fantastic. Sell everything you own and follow me. And then the Bible says, and he left because he was sad because he had a lot. He had a Bentley. He had like a Bentley, and he had like a house in Florida and California. Didn't mind paying the taxes. He had a lot of money. And Jesus like, you sell that shit, you can come along with me. He's like, man, you cool, but not like that. See, Bible stories are all about the way you tell them, right, Anthony?
Right.
That's right. Okay, we're at the 18-minute mark. We did just a few minutes before we're gonna talk about deals. Y'all got something else interesting now?
So let's see. So what do you think about success? Success come more from strategy or from mindset?
Oh, everything comes from mindset.
Everything comes from mindset.
Yeah, you're successful the moment you believe you are. I mean, you're the only one in your reality, right? So the moment you actually believe you are, you say, I'm a success. I mean, if you could be a drunk in the gutter, pee in your pants, and you could genuinely believe I'm a success at that, then he's a success, right? The Big Lebowski comes to mind, right? It's just a dude abides. In his mind, he's reached the pinnacle of life, right? Bowling, not working, no income, stay in his bathrobe all day, right? So he was content. So when the desire goes away, you get content. What do you want? If you want your desire, you're gonna have to pay for it somehow.
Yeah.
How much have each of you? What do you think each of your woman costs each month? Don't answer that. That's just
Yeah.
but you're paying, right? But you look over there and think, okay, well, that's what that costs about each month, right? I mean, Andy, you're glad you only have three kids instead of 6, right?
Right, definitely.
Look, success is the enjoying the daily journey of what you're doing, right? The moment you think there's a destination, you've lost the idea of success. Yeah, it's about saying, what I'm doing today, I'm really enjoying. I mean, old guys die when they go retire and they sit in front of the TV and don't do anything. They quickly go downhill and and that's the end of them because they lose purpose. I was thinking about last story, and then we're going to talk about deals. I was thinking about when I bought my very first house in Mansfield, Texas, right? And it's a brand new subdivision, and so I have this house. They're building these new houses, and I had a extra bedroom was in the front of the house. I had my office, and I had a desk set there. I could see out the front window, and so my neighbor to the left of me there, as I was looking out the window, he used to work for Curtis Mathis, was a TV company, and he had worked and he had been at the CES shows all the time, and he had done Curtis Mathis and traveled all over the place and whatever else, and he retired to watch TV, right? Just one of those guys is just, he's watching TV, and him and his wife go out to eat 4 times a week, and that was his retirement, right? He played golf with his buddies once a week, and so then as a little time went on, they're building these houses. I started to notice that he would sometimes in the late afternoon when the sun was going down, start to walk into some of the houses that they were building. And he was stealing, he was stealing a bunch of just little things that he needed to make improvements to his house, right? And, wow. I watched him do it. And I thought for a while, why would a guy, he's got plenty of money, right? Eating out all the time, he got plenty of money. Why would that guy be stealing that stuff? He just has nothing better to do. He's retired, he's lost purpose in life, and now he's decided to take up being a thief. All right. That's it, here we go. First thing I want to talk about is 600,000 square feet, right? 60,000 square meters, Anthony, of Turkish rugs. And so the story here is that where you see these rugs sitting, the owner of this property invested in these rugs along with another gentleman who had promised he was going to sell these rugs and they were going to make a whole lot of money. And so he invested in these rugs, which take up a whole lot of space, as you can see. And then he's apparently skipped town now. So the guy who owns the warehouse was trying to sell the inventory. I was checking it this morning on artificial intelligence just to ask about what these would cost by the square foot if you had to go now to Turkey and get these rugs. And the artificial intelligence estimated that it would be somewhere between $3 and $5 a square foot, depending on how the different types of rugs are mixed. So, believe it or not, we got these for 75 cents a square foot. And
are these manifested by the size, or
no manifest? But you can go and inspect them and go walk through all of them and look at them. I mean, this is a very specific buyer, right? You gotta have a lot of space to take this. Yep. A lot of labor to move it, right? So 75 cents a square foot. We'll put the details in the email. We got a whole bunch of pictures of this. The person that's interested in this is going to get on a plane and go see it, right? So yeah. Whoever that happens to be, but we're looking for worldwide rug buyers at this point, 600,000 square feet at 75 cents a square foot. All right, let me pull up another one here just real quick.
On those rugs, do you think they'd roll them up to ship them, or do you think they just put them in there flat that way?
Yeah, they're now presently all rolled. So they've rolled them all. So this window's not wanting to come up for me. They've rolled them all, so they're ready to ship. But you're still going to have to hand stack them inside trailers, right? So which is going to be a lot of labor involved.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. We're going to show you this Champion Kids clothing. It is not manifested, but they've got a breakdown of the categories right there. It's 9,000 pieces. MSRP is $34 average. Is that Zoom working? Yeah, okay.
Yep. Now it's better.
MSRP. $34 average. Our price, $3.90 FOB California. About 4,000 sweaters, 2,000 sweatpants, 1,000 shorts, shirts, leggings, and sets. A total of 9,193 pieces. And this is all new with tags. 100% legit champion.
I remember when Champion first came out. They came out in Walmart, didn't they?
I think that is right. I wouldn't swear to that though, but I think that is right.
I remember when they first. I'm pretty sure it was Walmart, and they've made quite the name for themselves.
It's very good quality clothing. You can see $32 there, and most of it is $32. That one's $24, just a shirt though. $32. That's $59.99. Is that what that says there?
Yep.
Yeah, $59.99.
Wow.
This is $3.90, right? So about a $38,000 deal. Champion Kids Clothing. Don't have a manifest. You just saw the pictures. We're happy to email them to you. We're going to look at one more. And Anthony, I think that the export customers are going to be interested in this one.
Let's see what it is.
This is Messi Kids Clothing. I'm just going to zoom in real quick on the style so we can kind of get them bigger on the screen. There we go.
Those women tees?
I think it's
girls the kids, yeah.
It's all kids, right?
Yeah.
Girls and boys. From international soccer star Messi, Anthony Ferguson. Anthony Ferguson once tried out for the Limon soccer team in Costa Rica. Isn't that right, Anthony?
That was right. Long time ago.
And they rejected you for being too handsome, right?
That was it. Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
And too much intelligence, right? That was it. Yeah.
Please, that's right. You gotta mention that, right? I mean, in regard to these Messi clothing, no one can deny that he is one of the best players in the world. So anything related to him would be interesting, right? Anything.
So if anybody has anything else to say, I'll drop the banner down below. If you have something to say against Messi, you can email Anthony down below and say that he is not the best player.
So these are all new with tags. You can see it's got a Messi tag on there. You can see the symbol here, Messi on the side there. Looking at that tag. Retail ready. These are $2.35 a piece. Wow, right? So we do have a manifest. Happy to send you the manifest and take a look at those. I am John Clark, along with my cohorts, Darren Fingleton and Anthony Ferguson. And this has been the Made in Paradise podcast. I don't think I said that at the beginning of the episode. I think I missed it. We are the Proven Performer crew, and we solve big inventory issues. If you have a big inventory you need to sell, you need to liquidate, please reach out to one of us immediately at the information below. Thank you so much, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.